Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. Welcome to a Friday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. National championship is set. The Bayou Bengals and the Mighty Gators. First pitch Saturday night, 7 p.m. The team I did not want to play. What a game last night. If you missed it, one of the best college World Series games you'll ever see. A pitching duel, two studs going at it, two very good baseball teams. And in extra innings in the 11th, Tommy Tanks from St. Petersburg, Florida, hits a two or three run bomb. And JC, it was a 2-run bomb.
2-run bomb.
You're on the Titan MR hotline. And did you see his post-game interview?
Yeah, he was kind of without words. He was
but what's interesting is I think it was the young lady, I can't remember who interviewed him, said, tell me about that pitch. He's like, I was sitting on fastball and they threw me a breaking ball and I just stuck the bat out.
Yeah. Tommy White can hit it, man. They've got bombers just like the Gators. This is going to be a lot of fun. And, this is the first time they've played each other. They didn't play in the regular season, didn't play in the postseason. So now they are to see who walks away with the trophy. And I don't know. I think it's amazing. We've got a rematch of the 2017 College World Series. And that was when, of course, the Florida Gators won the national championship under Kevin O'Sullivan. First time ever under Kevin O'Sullivan. And that does it feel like it was 7 years ago to you? I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like it's 7 years ago, but it was 7 years ago, and they're playing the same team they played back then, team they haven't played this year. I find that very interesting. I think it's going to be great. I don't think Florida could have gotten any more of a benefit than they got last night when you look at who Wake Forest used and who they would not have available Saturday, and who LSU used and who they likely will not have available Saturday or Sunday either.
Just as long as there's no weather issues out there, it favors the Gators for sure.
Absolutely does.
It's interesting. LSU's two best players, well, two of their three best players are transferred. Tommy White from NC State, Paul Skeens from Air Force. Also Thatcher Hurd, who came in there to pitch. He's a transfer as well. Gators picked up a ton of big-time baseball transfers yesterday. One from your school, who's an All-American.
Cool.
They're going to be loaded next year. Loaded. It's interesting though. The two of the best players at LSU are state of Florida kids. Tommy Tanks, who transferred from NC State, he's from St. Pete, and then Dylan Cruz, who a lot of people think he'll be the first pick of the draft. He's from Lake Mary, Florida. So
it is Tommy Tanks.
Keep him in state.
Yeah, Tommy Tanks is his nickname. His name is actually Tommy White, and he.
We know his last name ain't Tanks.
Oh well, okay, but I do we? But I tell you, that Wake Forest relief pitcher was their ace, and he just hung on, and that's it. I mean, it can just end so quickly. It really can, and it can. Everything was. I don't know. I mean, do you like pitcher duels? I'm not a big pitcher duel guy, but boy, watching those two kids last night was as good as you'll ever see in college baseball or baseball, period. The way their balls moved, the velocity they had, the stamina that these guys showed, hitting 95 to 100 late in the game is why they will be in the top 5 in the draft, and they should be. In fact, I think the LSU kid should be the number 1 pick in the draft. So we'll see. The LSU pitcher. The hitter's great. Cruz is great, no question. But this guy is rare. You don't see talent like this and that often in college. This guy is amazing. So I think he's going to go first.
Yeah. Andy asked, when can Skeens pitch next for LSU? Monday if there's a game 3. What is it? For it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, possibly. You know, I never pitched. I only played shortstop. I mean, I pitched in Little League and all that, but in high school, just
He'll
played
be
strictly
available.
shortstop.
He may not start, but he will
Here's
be
the thing,
available.
and I know there's pitch counts and all this arm therapy and stuff, but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
If I'm the coach and I'm the player, and we're going to game 3, I'm going to say, Coach, let me pitch as long as I can pitch. If you're the best pitcher in America, right? I don't think you're going to damage his arm. I don't really understand all that because
He'll give you 5 innings at minimum. He'll give you five
yeah.
innings. And when you think about it, today is an off day. That's 1. Saturday, Sunday, potentially. That's 3. And then most of all of Monday is almost 4 because the game doesn't start till 7 o'clock. He won't start throwing till 6, 5:30 at the earliest. So there's no doubt we're going to see him if they go to a third game. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
There's zero doubt. So I mean,
there's no way
no,
the player, the competitor is not going to go to that coach and say,
I'm ready.
I can go.
Yeah. And listen, they won a championship. This thing is that it's all by committee come Sunday. It doesn't matter, if you've got an arm that's not literally coming off your shoulder, you're available on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's no more games after this. So Brandon has a question. QB, how do teams handle expenses for the College World Series? Is it a certain stipend for the 8 teams, or does each team why did it go away here? Why does each team get more the longer they advance, or does the university cover it all? So I'm guessing, because it's probably similar to bowl trips. So the hotels are taken care of. Each team has their own hotel. Some teams share a hotel. All their meals are taken care of. Now they do get some per diem for them to go out and eat where they want or go bowling or whatever they want to do. But yeah, the school, this is all paid by the NCAA. It's just like in the basketball tournament. All the travel, all the hotels, everything is taken care of the NCAA. So
yeah, what I like to know is how do fans handle it, because a lot of fans went for the first.
The fans are on their own.
Well, they are. No, I know. But when you think about how long it's been, all right, they've been there for 7 full days. Today's an off day. If you're a fan and you've been there for 7 days and your life is continuing to go wherever you're from, that's tough to be away. And it's tough to, I think folks just have to decide, do you go early and leave, or do you wait to see if they make it to this weekend, which I know some folks who actually did
that. There will be a ton of purple and gold there.
They'll have the crowd, but I'll tell you this: Florida will represent, and we talked about Rocco's Jello shot contest. They obliterated the record.
Well, you know what happened there? It's kind of false stats, because the owner of Raising Cane's, which is a small chicken place, which we have one here in Gainesville now. It started in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh.
He bought like 6,000 Jello shots the other night for everybody.
Did he really? Yeah. Well, was that after they had gone past 18,000, or
I don't know. But he kind of skewed it, because it's not he purchased many at once.
Right. But don't you think this weekend that even, let's say they take the 6,000 out, they're over 22,000. So that puts them, say, if you take the 6,000 out, that puts them at 16,000. Then you got this weekend. I think they still would have broke the record, but who cares? It's just SEC. It's Ole Miss. It's LSU. It's, it's crazy. It's great. I mean, I think it's a great little story. But
Gene said, well, first of all, Dan asked about how do they determine who the home team is. It's the higher seeded team is the home team first game, and then there'll be the third game if it goes game 3. Gene says, does JC have room on the jet Saturday to go watch the Gators? Yeah. Loves my shirt. Gene, I told you, I got gear. I know somebody who knows somebody. So Michael says he's boycotting Raising Cane's.
Where is that? Is that here in town? I've never been there.
Yeah, they just opened it up. It's on it's a unique one, because it's normally like a little Chick-fil-A drive-through restaurant. You can go in and eat or whatever. You never been to Raising Cane's, JC? As many times you've been to Mississippi?
Right.
But now the one here, it's not a drive-through. It's on University Avenue. where they built those beautiful new buildings and tore everything down. It's in the bottom on the bottom floor of one of those.
Past east of 13th Street. I got you.
No. It's like directly across from the library.
Oh, okay. West of 13th Street still. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. Well, they'll do good business there, I think, during the season once football gets started. For me, sports for the year 2000.
Tony's still giving you crap about Old Waverly. He says, Old Waverly has a Raising Cane's.
Well, I still didn't go, but I don't even remember. But I will tell you that baseball, when the College World Series ends, my sports year officially is completed before it begins again in August of football season. Now, we do have the British Open left, but, that's something you record and watch later in the day. So I don't know. The College World Series has significance for me. This is the end. Coaches take vacations. People go on cruises. People go to the beach. They kind of get a second win before the new sports season starts in August. Of course, we all know what comes at the end of August. So,
yeah. So, if you missed it last night, the NBA draft, no surprise with the first pick. Keontae Johnson, congratulations to him. He's the 50th overall pick to the OKC Thunder. Alex Fudge and Colin Castleton both signed free agent contracts with the Los Angeles Lakers.
I got to tell you, I spent all of about 10 seconds thinking about that last night, QB. Honest to God. I don't even know who that first draft pick guy is. I mean, I couldn't even tell you who he played for. I have no idea.
Who?
So, the guy that was picked first last night.
He's from France, so he played for some international team over there. Joseph wants to know on Facebook Live, how's JC like Alabama's best player coming to the Gators?
Their best player on baseball?
Yes.
I guess he wants to win. he wants to win. He wants to be in a program that is listen, but Florida, it's been 7 years since they got to where they are now. And
that ain't got nothing to do with winning.
I know, but they're still winning. I know they win a lot. He just wants to win. I think everything that these kids do is a personal decision to whatever it is they like about the team they go to and the coach that leads them. So whether he came from Alabama or if he came from Virginia Tech, it's all about what he feels will advance his career or his life. So, yeah, I guess Alabama will just have to dig deeper and find someone else. But let me tell you, baseball's not at the forefront of our minds up at the Capstone. But I hope they win. I will not lose sleep if they lose. That's a fact.
Do you lose sleep if they lose in football?
Most of the time, yes.
And what's the difference? Why do you care?
Because it's football. Same reason why you care. Same reason why you care.
Well, I actually played for my school.
I don't care. I actually went to class at my school.
You did?
I did. And I graduated in 4 years. Okay. So,
right.
I mean, I love my school.
I mean, but I don't lose any sleep if we lose. I can promise you that.
Right. Okay. All right.
I don't.
You're just like Ichabod Crane. I mean, you sleep 10 hours a night. I get it.
You ain't right. That's why. That's why I'm healthy. All right, here we go. Josh from Mississippi on the Titan MR text line says,
funny.
He says, JC, what did you think of the NBA draft last night? Just kidding. Who cares? But did you know that the Gators did play LSU during the season? This will be the first time. Makes the game harder, in my opinion, with the unknown. Y'all's thoughts. He also says, with all the football wins vacated by with LSU, the Gators now lead the series. Thoughts on their punishment?
Les Miles, listen, that was a time when everything that they did back then was legal today. I don't care. I will tell you this. Everybody's got LSU winning the West. Everybody. And that's a bad omen for if you love the purple and gold. And Brian Kelly's over here complaining about we need Congress to get involved in the NIL. You know what? College football is doing better today than it's ever done. And if you get paid $10 million, then you're paid to solve problems. You figure it out. Congress doesn't have time for this. And I don't want my tax dollars figuring out this problem that they have. Let them figure it out. They can figure it out. I don't need these guys at Capitol Hill worrying about NIL. That's asinine. If these guys can't figure it out in their own rooms with their own problems, They are paid to solve problems. They should be able to do it. And so hopefully they will.
At Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville.
Got a lot to say about that.
Call Chris Storing Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with JC on the Titan More hotline, we'll have Steve Russell talking Gator baseball in the second portion of today's program. I don't even know what LSU got in trouble for. I know Will Wade had a bunch of cheating going on, but I think it wasn't so much like recruiting violations with football. I think they had a lot of other issues. I could be wrong.
Will Wade's now been suspended 10 days, 10 games he's at McNeese State. So, he was able to get a job. And, he didn't last at LSU. They had to let him go. But look, I care about their football team and Brian Kelly. They are a threat in the West, but everybody's taking them. Everybody's jumping on the A&M wagon like you always do. Everybody's, talking about somebody in the West. And this is the last year we get the divisions.
I'm not jumping on LSU. I just think they're a better team right now than Alabama.
You're jumping on LSU and A&M. That's who you're jumping.
Well, I'm not. I think A&M surprise is probably the wrong word because they have the best receiving core by far in the league. I'm going on Bobby Petrino's past. He's as good a play caller as I've ever seen. If they let him call plays, I do think I think their win totals at 7.5. I think they go way over that. Way over.
So does that mean 9, 10? What does that mean?
Yeah, 9 or 10. I do think that. Another text on the Titan Mar text line from Daryl. It says, "Good morning, guys. My cousin from North Carolina called me crying the blues about Tommy White transferring to LSU. She was complaining about the NIL money he got. I don't like it either, but that's the way it is. But with my family up there, they think the ACC is the best in everything. To hear them tell, I've learned through the years to ignore their dumbness." Daryl. Tommy got a lot of money to go play there, but we're gonna have a bunch of transfers suiting up for the Gators next year.
The thing is, nobody cares. When he was rounding third last night, threw his hat up in the air.
I'm sure he got plenty of $500 handshakes in the bar at the hotel.
Right, but do we care about what his Wells Fargo account looks like? No. Listen, college football has never been better. The revenues prove it. 30 million people watch a national championship game.
We're talking about college baseball.
I'm talking about NIL. You're talking about. I know the baseball. They can get whatever. But the thing is that it's the second sport behind the NFL. Okay, it's never been better. These guys complaining about the problems and the restrictions that they want to put on college football would be doing the wrong thing, not the right thing. And Congress is not going to have anything to do with it, folks. Forget about that. I don't know why I got on that tangent. I think I heard about it 3 times yesterday listening to Sirius Satellite Radio and drove me crazy. I want to go off the road into another ditch. By the way, we're getting another, 7 inches today of rain. We need it, right? But, yeah.
Well, no, you don't need any more rain. We've already had 9 or 10
hell no, we don't need any more rain. Yeah.
But good old Buddy Martin chimed in here on Facebook Live, and we hope Buddy's doing well. We've been thinking about Buddy, and we're glad he's back in action. He says, "Am I missing something? Maybe blind or stupid or just a homer? How did this happen? Former Gator Colin Castleton signing with the Lakers after going undrafted." Well, you got to remember, Buddy, there's only two rounds in the NBA draft. The majority of the people drafted are foreigners, and Colin's a guy that can be a role player in the NBA, I think, if he's in the right system. But that league, it is hard to make it because they want young athletic dudes that are athletic. So we'll see. But I appreciate you chiming in there.
Oh, buddy.
What is this right here? Dan says he noticed one of LSU's players had some random hat on in pregame. I don't know what you're talking about there, Dan. Not sure about that at all. All right, Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family.
Something for you.
OgreInsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. We're still here with JC on the Titan More Hotline. Then we'll have Steve Russell, the Dean of Sports Talk in this area. get his thoughts. He's a baseball guy. Get his thoughts on the Mighty Gators. What
Well,
do you got?
I mean, it's the best 2 out of 3 series. There's not what can you say? I mean, we know that LSU's burned their best pitcher, but he'll play on Monday if he has to. I was looking at something yesterday on Twitter from, I don't know if you know who this is, PFF College. They've got 334,000 followers on Twitter.
That would be Pro Football Focus.
Okay, premium data and analytics firm, talking about Mississippi. Mississippi has returning the number 1 cornerback, the number 1 running back, the number 3 quarterback, the number 2 and 6 edge rushers, the number 5 wide receiver, and the number 4 best linebacker on the roster. Did you know they were that good?
No, and they'll have the worst defense in the league. I promise you that. So, here's the thing: Pro Football Focus does they do a tremendous job with the NFL, college. They have all these people like yourself,
all about
Jason,
Ole Miss.
like people like yourself that watches tape in a basement somewhere up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they grade. I get it.
Trust me, I don't.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want people to understand.
Right.
I can watch the tape on, let's just say, Joe Burrow. I could break down the tape with Joe Burrow and grade him.
Okay.
I'm just shooting at the barrel here because I don't know what his reads are supposed to be because I don't have the play call. And with the play call, I don't know what he was taught to do with that play call. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
That's
so
right.
if Joe Burrow or whoever the quarterback is makes a bad throw or bad decision, I can't grade him legitimately because they're guessing, in my opinion. And they do a great job because they come on my show and talk about the NFL mostly. But
they're all about these guys right here, QB.
Well, I will tell you right now, that team will not win 7 games this year.
Oh, you're going under.
Yes.
Even with the quarterback they got?
I don't think Jackson Dart's that great.
Really?
I mean, he didn't throw – he's not a great thrower. They're rushing the football team. They have an outstanding tailback.
Well, they say he's the number 1 running back.
Would you take him over anybody at Alabama?
I mean, I wouldn't take anybody.
I'm just asking.
I probably, or I don't know. To me, running backs are you shake a tree and a running back falls out. Really, I mean, I don't know. I guess you have certain running backs that are rare. Derrick Henry. Alabama had at one point they had T.J. Yeldon, Derrick Henry, and Alvin Kamara.
Well, we know who they
running
have.
back
I'm just
group.
saying, Quinshon Junkins is an outstanding running back.
Oh, he's great. Listen, I think Mississippi's better than you think they will be, but maybe not. I mean, you don't think so?
JC, I watched their spring game on tape.
Nobody cares about spring game, QB.
I know. I agree with that. But from a talent standpoint and just watching them defensively, I thought they were one of the worst. Yeah. And everybody talks about the Gators. How bad? Gators, in my opinion, are 1,000 times better defensively than Ole Miss. And I could be wrong. And I will tell you if I'm wrong. But I do not think Ole Miss is going to be I don't think they're going to win more than 7 games this year.
Okay. Well, they won more than Texas.
Have you looked at their schedule?
Let me just say this. They did better than Texas A&M the last 2 years.
Have you looked at their schedule? Anyway. Have you looked at their schedule?
I have not, no.
Okay.
But they play in the West, QB. So what could it be? It could be the same as everybody else.
They got the Georgia Bulldogs rolling into Oxford, I think, this year.
Well, that's
a loss.
That's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem. They do. They got Georgia.
Sure. I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it up.
You better pull that up
for us.
Georgia's schedule, when I looked at it, I just laughed out loud. It's so ridiculous.
Well, people don't think when you look at Ole Miss on your schedule, you don't think that makes it very difficult.
Well, I don't know why. They finish higher than teams like your boys, Texas A&M, and your guys.
All right, so here's who Ole Miss has. They got Mercer.
Win.
They got Tulane.
Win.
You think?
Yeah. Tulane had one good year last year. They won the Cotton Bowl. Keep going.
They're very good. They got everybody coming back. They got Georgia Tech.
I'll take Tulane. 3-0.
They got Alabama.
3-1.
They got LSU.
Close.
Please.
Okay. All right, Mr. LSU, 4-loss team last year. Keep going.
They got Arkansas.
Possible win very easily.
They got Auburn.
Absolutely could win that game.
They got Vanderbilt.
Win.
They got A&M.
Very true, possibly could win. Yeah.
They got Georgia.
No, probably not.
They got the Monroe Warhawks.
Win.
And they got Mississippi. They got Mississippi State.
They always win that game. So yeah, there's 8.
They
9,
always win it. I think didn't they lose that game last year?
No.
Or the previous year they lost it.
Well, that's the.
I'm gonna tell you right now, they have 1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, your beloved LSU Tigers lost 4 times last year, dude, including the Florida State. I want to hear it. They also, your other beloved team, the Aggies, that 5-win team right there, didn't even make the postseason.
Look, I'm an Ole Miss fan. I love the Rebels. I just don't think they're very good.
Okay. I think they're better than you give them credit for, but okay. Okay.
They're not. I'm telling you. All right. Somebody here wants to know how much. No, Tony says he got screwed out of the Ole Miss trip in 2020.
Oh,
yeah, thanks, COVID. Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
So
everybody did.
Yeah, they did for sure. Oh crap! I just.
But Georgia still didn't have to play at Texas A&M, and they had 10 games and they didn't schedule them. So, and even with the new schedule coming out in 24, they still didn't schedule Georgia at Texas A&M. It's crazy to me.
Well, I would be careful if I'm Ole Miss against Tulane because they have everybody back.
Okay. Well, Tulane was very impressive last year. I will admit that for a fact. Beating your Trojans in the Cotton Bowl was great.
Yes,
coming back from death. I mean, they were
down like 20-something points.
It with 5 minutes to go. Yeah, it was a great finish, and I loved it for Tulane. I was a big Tulane fan. But during the hurricane issues, they went and practiced at Alabama's facility, and it was a nice thing. And I think Tulane, for what they are, for the size of their school, for where they're located, they get a lot out of that because everybody in Louisiana goes to one school for the most part. All the good players do anyway. And I know Louisiana's a good little school in Lafayette, but LSU owns that state. And for Tulane to compete, go to a Cotton Bowl, shit. They were better than LSU last year, I'd almost say. So
Tulane was?
Yeah, they won the Cotton Bowl. What LSU win?
I don't know. What bowl game were they in?
Exactly. You don't even know. So, I mean.
I don't really care. I do. I know they beat Purdue by like 50, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think it was a Liberty Bowl or something great like that. I don't know. Maybe the Citrus Bowl. That's the point, is that nobody cares what LSU did last year. LSU beat the Gators by 10 over here and allowed Florida to score 35 points. God, let's just make Brian Kelly he's going to win it all this year. I hope somebody does pick up.
Just don't hate them that they went to the SEC championship game and your team didn't.
Whatever. And you know what, QB? They showed up.
Is that a fact?
That looks
like
something. Fact? You know what that looked like? That looked like what we've been watching for 20 years with what the West did to the East in the SEC championship game.
I just asked.
God, Georgia won something.
I just asked you. Did LSU go to the championship game last year?
Yes, they did. They lost.
Okay, I was just stating a fact. Joseph says, didn't Tulane's running back transfer to Florida? One of them did. They have I'm telling y'all, Tulane is a good football program. They're coached very, very well. I love their quarterback. He was supposed to come to us, but we didn't get him.
No, he was. It was a great season. I mean, I couldn't even find a Tulane hat to buy online, QB. And that's what bothered me about the whole thing.
You must be looking in the wrong places because they're everywhere.
I didn't see them on 47. I didn't see them in Legacy. I guess Nike sells them. I don't know. Are they a Nike school?
All you got to do is go to Fanatics. They have every school in America.
Fanatics. Okay.
All right, JC, we're going to do this thing in sports brought to you by
the way,
Campus USA Credit Union.
Go ahead. Do that. Go ahead.
Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. In 2011, at the NBA draft, Duke's point guard Kyrie Irving was the first pick of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't even know where Kyrie plays these days.
I couldn't tell you who he plays for, but my guy Adam Scott just birdied his first hole. He just birdied his first hole in Hartford, and so somebody picked him. And I'm liking that we did 5 players, but I can't believe the field at the Travelers Championship. And I think it's great that coming off the U.S. Open, all these guys who play at TPC River Highlands in Connecticut. So, you win that tournament, you automatically lose 8% of your winnings just to the state and local taxes. But I still think it's great. And look, I think, we've got a pretty good tournament here. And a lot of guys are right there, middle. It's not the course isn't as easy as maybe it has been in the past. I mean, Ricky Fowler shot even par. Justin Thomas shot even par. Rory McIlroy with a hole-in-one only shot 2 under yesterday. So it's not playing as easy as you might expect. A lot of guys, Hovland, he was only 2 under yesterday. So hopefully it'll be a good tournament to watch this week.
All right, JC, go order your Tulane hat. We got to get to Steve Russell.
All right, we'll see you on Monday.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan No More Hotline. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Steve Russell from ESPN Gainesville. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Prime and Pearl, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Skechers, F45, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurs Gridiron Grill, the #1 celebrity polished casual restaurant in America. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're going to head to the Titan tomorrow hotline now, and we're joined by the Dean of Sports Talk from ESPN Gainesville, WRUF, Steve Russell. What's happening, Steve?
Hey, Sean, by the way, I love that hoodie, man. I like it.
You like that?
I like that a lot.
Somebody made this for me last year, so it's kind of got that baseball look.
Yeah, it does.
And, yeah, so I like it as well. Well, Steve, boy, I mean, what can you say? Just give me your thoughts before we jump into the series. Gators have been fortunate, but, you know, you got to have breaks go your way. They haven't hit the ball great since they've been out in Omaha, but, boy, they're finding ways to win.
Nobody's hit the ball great.
That's a good point.
Because pitching's been so dominant. And, you know, last night as an old pitcher, I get it, all the home runs and all that. Those two guys last night were great. It lived up to the billing, and they do it in different ways. You know, Skeens throws 100, but he's got a nasty breaking ball and changeup, and Louder doesn't throw as hard, but he really pitches. That's why I think they're going to be first-round draft choices. What a game. And don't sell LSU short here. Yes, Florida's rested. Yes, they're probably not going to be able to use Skeens, but they're good. They're really good. Their coach is really good. But Florida has an advantage. Let's not underestimate that. They're rested. They've got their pitching in line. This works out well for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's crazy because, you know, Skeens, as you said, a lot of people who may not follow baseball don't realize he's only been at LSU just this year. He's a transfer from Air Force, for all places. But it just goes to show you how many great baseball players are across the country. And now with the transfer portal, NIL, you can make your team very good, very fast. And the Gators have done that. A lot of good players that transferred here. And, boy, supposedly they got a bunch of good ones coming already that have been reported.
Yeah, an Alabama kid is coming. That should help, you know, with Langford leaving with power. Another catcher from Coastal Carolina, where BT Riopel came from. So Sully's doing it right. He's not going to sway from building a team primarily with high school kids, but he's smart enough to go to the portal to get, a guy here and there that's going to fill in. Waldrop, another perfect example of that. So Sully's doing it right.
Yeah, Tommy White, Tommy Tanks, the guy that hit the home run, is from St. Petersburg. Dylan Cruz, was Florida ever close to getting him to come play here? Because he's right there in Orlando at Lake Mary. Was there ever any thought that he may be a Gator?
Thought, yes. Close. I don't know how close that was, but certainly he was on the radar, no doubt.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Before we move on to the series, as an old pitcher, you follow the Major League Draft. I don't, Steve. Who do you think the first pick's going to be? And these two pitchers that we saw last night, where do you think they fall in the draft?
They're going to be high first rounders, and a lot of the time, Shane, it's like the NBA draft last night. There was a clear guy who the Spurs were going to pick. Right? Everybody knew that. Baseball draft's a little bit different in that, what is the organization looking for? Are they looking for pitching talent first? Are they looking for offensive talent first? So that kind of helps in terms of the process. But I think Skeens is going to be a top 5 pick. I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, he's got the physical tools that just wow you and translates well, I think, to the major league game. So, I think both those guys will go in the first round, but Skeens will be a little higher pick.
Yeah. Andy has a question here. Steve, Kaggs has no RBIs in the last 6 games. Doesn't he need to get back on his game for the Gators to win it all?
Well, at this point, there's not a lot of hitting by anybody. And why is that? Because the pitching's been so dominant. And you can't point to just Kaggs. I mean, look at LSU last night. They didn't hit much. And they got Dylan Cruz, maybe the best hitter in the entire draft. So that's how dominant the pitching has been. But certainly, if you can get him going, Florida's hit a lot of home runs, but they have, and they can play small ball when they have to. If the pitching is right, even with LSU without Skeens, they've got some other good arms that can pitch. I don't expect, 8-7 games here. I don't expect a lot of runs to be scored.
Daniel says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, Steve, listen to you every day. Wish you were in Omaha calling the series.
Me too.
Brandon says, good to see Steve smile. Every time I listen to him, he's having to answer the crazy calls from our fan base about after a football game. Let's go back before we talk about the LSU team. Sully made a mistake. And then the very next day, or maybe a couple of days later, everybody saw on Twitter the T-shirt that Sully was wearing.
Yeah.
That's not the Kevin O'Sullivan that I'm used to, because he's so meticulated and serious about everything. But I guess with us winning, he had to kind of laugh at himself a little bit. But I think that shows that he's a little more relaxed around this group of guys. Am I wrong there?
No, you're not wrong, Shane. And look, he's matured too. I mean, there's nobody in that ballpark, nobody watching the game who felt worse than he did. You could see it.
Oh, I mean,
I
thought his head was going to explode.
Yeah, you could just see it, because we all know what could have happened. But the great thing about this team, Shane, is that they had his back here. Luckily things turned out, but I think even had it not turned out, this is a really close group, a group that likes each other. I think they respect Sully and the coaching staff. So the fact that, they came out and said, hey, we had our coaches back too, really helped. And that just shows the maturity of him as a coach. We can laugh about it a little bit, and it's a really mature team here too.
So I remember my son played in baseball against Wyatt Langford at Trenton. And then I want to say a couple of years ago, before he came onto the scene, he got no playing time. Correct. Have you seen a player kind of do what he's done in his career, become this unbelievable baseball player who almost never had a shot to even get in the game, but he's become a phenomenal player? He's going to be a first-round pick, don't you think?
Yes, I think he's going to be a top 10 pick, maybe even higher than that. He was a catcher when he first, came up with them. He had to learn to play the outfield. He reshaped his body. He's totally different body-wise than what he was when he came here. I can't think of a guy like that because he almost didn't come to Florida. He was almost an afterthought in coming to Florida. We'll take Wyatt Langford, and I'm exaggerating when I say that, but you get the point. It wasn't like he was, oh, we got to have this kid, but his hard work, I think the staff, working with him too, those are success stories. I don't care if you're playing for LSU or Florida or whatever. And he's a great kid. He's great with fans. He's great with media. You really want to see guys like him succeed, and he has. Good to see that.
Yeah, there's no question about that. All right, let's move to the championship series. I was wanting us to play Wake Forest, quite honestly, Steve. I know they're a very good baseball team, but I said it all week long on my show. Maybe it's because I'm not familiar with the Wake Forest players. We know LSU has dudes. That play by, is it Trey Morgan, the first baseman? That's one of the greatest baseball plays I've ever seen. He made
Yes, it is.
Last night. It was unbelievable.
Yes, it is. And that's what I think is underrated here. They have a really good coach who came from Arizona, who has had experience in the College World Series. And that's it. LSU's got great tradition, great fans, obviously. But yeah, that was a heck of a play. And it'll be interesting to see who they start. I think they'll start Ty Floyd, if I were to guess. The reason LSU is in this is because their pitching has gotten better. It was not good behind Skeens early in the year, but they've got a couple of guys now who've stepped up, and we've seen it in the College World Series where their pitching's been very, very good, and they've shut down the offense. Wake Forest hit 158, Shane, in the World Series. 158. Wow. And part of that's because of the ballpark they play in. They play in a very small park. So their homer numbers a little bit inflated, from what that ballpark plays big in Omaha most of the time. But that's one of the reasons why they just didn't hit.
This is a good text from Jimmy on the Titan Mark text line. He says, Steve, have you ever seen a college baseball team like LSU flip-flop their second baseman and shortstop, depending on if it's a right-handed or left-handed hitter? I saw that during the game. Are you familiar with that? I've never seen that at Division I baseball.
I've seen it once. I've seen it one other time, and it was just because of that, right-hander, left-hander, whatever. You don't see it very much, but once again, I think that's part of what, the coaching staff does there, and they're very good at, trying new things. So I've seen it once, but not very often.
All right, we got the LSU Tigers tomorrow night. Obviously, the Gators have been off 2 days. Steve, you've been out to the College World Series. I mean, the Gators, we've been out there forever and only played, 3 games. A lot of downtime between games. Is that good? I know from a pitching standpoint it is, but do you like the days off?
I don't. And I think most people want to go play. But I think there's something to this, Shane, when you get to this level because of the mental aspect of it. There's going to be a press conference today. They get to go practice at either, a different field or a high school field or whatever. But sometimes that downtime is good. And I think it is with a high pressure, type of situation and atmosphere Omaha is. I can understand the other side where LSU was saying we're kind of on a roll, but how much gas is left in their tank? I think the day off for them today is really big to sort of recharge their batteries. And sometimes when you don't play for a while, it takes you a couple of innings to sort of, get back in the flow of things. But I think this coaching staff been there before. They know what's going on. It's a veteran team here. I don't think that'll affect them.
Another text on the Titan Mark text line from George. He says, Steve, if you're the skipper of the LSU Tigers, do you throw Skeens at all against the Gators?
Ooh, that would depend on the situation in the third game. I would not throw him certainly tomorrow. And if I were to throw him at all in game 2, it would be for 1 inning. I mean, you've got to protect that kid. And I think, Sully's always protected his pitchers. You can't, he just threw 120 pitches. In the game before that, he threw 116, I think. This is going to be a big-time, big league arm. And I get the temptation, and I know that kid, as competitive as he is going to say, Coach, I want the ball at some point. got to be really careful, Shaner. You
Yeah,
just can't. You got to be really careful.
Yeah, it's crazy because you just think if it goes to game 3, you know that Monday morning he's going to be all, talking to
Oh
Jay
yeah.
Johnson. Hey, I'm ready, coach. I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
Even if he doesn't start the game, he's going to be walking to him in the dugout. And,
Yeah.
that's a tough decision. There's no question about
But
it.
I'll tell you what you could do with him. If you're in the game and you're ahead in the 8th inning, maybe you stick him in there. 20 pitches, 30 pitches, maybe like that. But I just don't see him being used more than that.
Yeah. All right. The Gators obviously will start Sproat tomorrow night, who's had a pretty good, he's had a heck of a year. These 2 pitchers that we got, I want to ask you this because I've been talking about it, and you've seen way more Gator baseball than I have, and you know more baseball than I do. For some reason, I feel like this is Sully's best team he's had. And maybe it's because it's kind of skewed with the power because we've never hit this many home runs or had this many guys be able to knock the ball out of the ballpark. But I just think, and I know we had Faedo and that crew, but these 2 pitchers to me, man, I like them a lot.
I do too. But remember that team in 17, Michael Byrne was the closer, and he was really good, but he wasn't a power pitcher, by any stretch. But, when you have Brady Singer and Jackson Kolar and Alex Faedo, they've all been in the big leagues. That's pretty good. And we don't know what these guys will do at the big league level, but that doesn't matter now. What matters now is what they're doing in college. And, getting Waldrop, I thought was huge at the start of the year because I saw that splitting when he was at Southern Miss because they were in the regionals. And it's just a nasty, nasty pitch. It's very difficult to hit. And he's very competitive. And so that, to me, it solidified. Now, Kaggs, I get it. He walks a lot of people, and, he'll throw a great pitch and then throw. But the bottom line of the other day, he gave up 1 run.
Right.
At this stage of the game, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be fancy. How many runs do you give up? He didn't give up many. He kept his team in the game, and so for that purpose, he did fine. Would you like him to do better and be more consistent? Sure, because if it comes down to a game 3, he's going to start. But then it's Johnny Holstaff. You can't worry about it. You got to win that game.
Yeah. Do you think what would you do from a lineup standpoint? As you said, all teams are struggling hitting the baseball out there. Do you try to, especially in the outfield, do you make the move from a defensive standpoint there, or do you think he's going to stick with who he started the last couple of games?
Got to hit. You got to start with your hitters because, in my opinion, because that's where they struggled. And let's face it, Shane, that's where they've had success getting here. Now, you can be second guessed, right? Why don't you make a move here? Why don't you make a move there? But most of the time, he's punched the right buttons. And look what he did with Robertson the other day, right? Look what happened with him. So he's done a pretty good job of understanding when to insert somebody defensively and when to take somebody out. And how about Ty Evans? Here's a kid who was a starter most of the year, sat down, and a lot of people would sulk. A lot of people wouldn't be ready to play. Well, look what he's done. And that tells me a lot about the makeup of him, the makeup of this team. I think you stick with the offensive lineup, and then if you have to go defense later in the game, that's what you do.
Text here from Jack on the Titan Mar text line. He says, Steve, can we beat these LSU Bayou Bengals?
Sure, but they can beat Florida. And once again, to me, the advantage Florida's got is a rested pitching staff and the fact that they've not had to play these high leverage games like LSU's had to play. And that's why for them, I think today is a breather. Okay, we got here. Now we've got to recalibrate and reset and get ready to play Florida. But there's no question, at least starting on Saturday, Florida has an advantage.
The Sunday game is during the day, correct? It's not a night game? It's
correct.
Like 3 o'clock Eastern time, I believe?
Yep, 3 o'clock.
Andy, real quick, we're going to switch gears here before we get you out of here. He has a question. How optimistic are you about the future of Gator football based on Billy's recruiting?
Long term, I mean, certainly it's good. I mean, if you're gonna say, well, Florida's only 18th in the rankings, and use that as a criticism, if they're third in 24/7 Sports now, well, you got to use that as a positive. Does that mean it's going to be good this year? No. Does that mean it may not be good next year because of the schedule we've seen? But you got to start someplace. And if the knock on the previous administration or the regime was they couldn't recruit, at least this one on paper is doing better.
Yeah. All right. Last question on the Titan MR text line from Barrett. He says, Steve, were you surprised at all that Colin Castleton wasn't drafted?
No, because I think the thing, in my opinion, he's got to work on to play in the NBA is he's got to become a three-point shooter. And that sounds crazy given his height, but think about the NBA. You know, how many guys now are the old school block to block, back to the basket post player? And name any of them. I mean, look at Kevin Durant, 6'11", look at that dude. He ain't a back to the basket guy. So in today's NBA, is there a place? I mean, Castleton could catch on with a team and, you know, be an end of the bench kind of guy, but I think that's why he wasn't drafted.
Yeah. Well, good stuff as always, Steve. You can still listen to Coach Russell, as I call him, from 12 to 2 on WRUF. And we appreciate you taking the time, my man.
Oh, it's always good to be here, Shana. Thanks, bud.
Yep, that's the Dean of Sports Talk. Steve Russell join us on the Titan MR hotline. It's Silverback Concrete. It's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Hope you enjoyed today's program. We appreciate JC and Steve Russell joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Again, the Gators first pitch 7 o'clock, weather permitting, 7 o'clock against the LSU Tigers tomorrow night, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, and game 7 o'clock if there's a game 3 on Monday. Let's hope not, and we will be recapping, and hopefully we're the national champs when we come on the air on Monday. Have a great day out there, folks. Have a great weekend. Stay dry. Take care.